Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Small Talk. Well, today I'm very, very pleased to welcome to the show. First of all, she is a CTV National News and Indigenous Circle reporter, CTV News channel anchor from Toronto, Donna Sound. Welcome to the show, Donna.
Hello, Nancy. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here speaking with you today.
Thank you.
And hello to your viewers.
Thank you for doing that. I want to know if you don't mind starting, how did you get to be a CTV news reporter?
Well, it started. I had a relationship going back over 20 years with CTV when I was at a different company, a television station, APTN actually, and we worked out of their studio here in Toronto.
Oh,
And so I had a relationship with them already. So in 2020, they they wanted to add a new segment to the national news program, of which is called Indigenous Circle. And it was serendipity, I think, because I was looking for a job at the time. I knew Lisa Laflamme,
oh,
and I sent her, who unfortunately is no longer
yeah.
at CTV anymore. So I had sent her my CV and my demo reel that I had made, and I sent it to her, and she said, "Donna, we're just launching this. What perfect timing!" And yeah, and so that's how it started. So I've been with them since 2020 in that CTV, the full capacity of CTV.
Right. What is a Indigenous Circle reporter?
Well, being that I'm Ojibwe and I have a Mi'kmaq blood in me as well, I I don't only report on Indigenous stories, as my other colleagues who are not Indigenous, they do some Indigenous circle stories. So it's it has to do with Indigenous content.
Oh, okay.
So right, so the content it's positive, which is a good thing because for many years, a lot of stories that were done on First Nation, Inuit, or Métis people were often had a negative
Yeah.
tone to
Yeah.
them. So, in CTV's, in their want to, um, and in the name of reconciliation, they said, no, let's start doing positive stories on Indigenous people. So I am so honored and happy and grateful to now be doing positive stories on Indigenous people. So that's often stories derive from negativity, whether it be residential school and things like that, the 60 scoop. But for the most part, they're negative. They're positive, and it's showcasing Indigenous language, culture, and what Indigenous people are doing positively to, contribute to our society just like everyone else.
Right. I know that one of the stories you reported that I watched was a girls was it the hockey team? Girls sports
Oh
team?
yeah, yeah. So that was Little NHL. That was a great fun story. This year I wanted to focus on the girls playing, and it was the 50 year of the Little NHL, so Little Native Hockey League. And it's just a great event because you have people from all over, mostly Ontario, but some come from other provinces as well. And there are thousands of people, players,
Mm-hmm.
and their family. And, a lot of people go to Florida or, LA or what have you. Somewhere hot, but these families, they make the trek to Toronto. It's been held here for the past few years, and around here, Thornhill, in the Greater Toronto area, and they come here into like to the winter. They don't go out. So it's a huge family event. There are so many people that participate and meet there, and I've met generations of families that have gone, and so I focused on the girls this year, the ladies, And what amazing players. It was just great to watch them play. And they I wouldn't be getting on the ice with them, let's just say. No, no, no. But I was so impressed with their
Right.
talent, and a lot of them are, going off to university, college,
Mm.
what have you, and want to keep playing. And they're with their goal with some of the girls that I spoke with is to be in the professional women's hockey league that just started. So, I hope that that happens for some of them. That would be
Yeah,
great.
for sure. Because that can't be easy to get into that, right?
No, 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 no. The talent. You have to have the talent. And one thing about Little NHL is often see a lot of players and coaches, former NHLers, Indigenous NHLers like Ted Nolan and all those names. And there's a lot of scouts that come there as well. And just to keep an eye on, this person or that person. And a lot of them do make it to the NHL who had started out in from the little NHL, the little Native Hockey League. Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. Can you share any other stories like that are positive like that you've reported on?
Oh gosh, there are many. A lot I have to say do with people taking back their culture and recognizing that they have a strong culture and that they're still trying to relearn it because a lot of it had been taken away. As I said, I have to bring up residential school again, unfortunately, but they lost a lot of people lost their culture, their language. For my mom example, I'll have to give you my mother is a residential school. She went to residential school, so we call her that she would be a survivor. And she didn't. I asked her. I said, "Mom, why didn't you teach me Ojibwe?" And so she paused, and it's not very often you can get your mom to pause.
Mm.
And she said, "My girl, I was hit at school for speaking Ojibwe, for speaking my language, and that was her first language." And
Right.
she said that she didn't want that to happen to me.
Mm.
So that's why she didn't
Yeah.
teach it to us kids, myself and my three siblings. So I'm now playing catch up, right? Because as you know, it's hard to learn a language, especially, when you're older.
Yes.
And I'm not 20 anymore.
But and I agree. I hear more and more about people, about Indigenous people, trying to relearn or reconnect with their culture. Or like I interviewed her, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she was part of the '60s scoop, and then she was adopted into white family, and so she had no connection to her Indigenous family until she was much older, like as an adult. So
Yeah.
just learning who her people are, and I think one of the things that you probably come across too is that she was taught not to respect them,
Hmm.
right? By
Exactly.
by the white culture.
Right. Yeah. A lot of kids are the 60s scoop who are now adults, are so lost.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of stories on these people who just don't fit in with that crowd. They don't fit in with with
Yeah.
the First Nation crowd because they they're strangers. They try to go back to their home community and they don't know anyone. So a lot of people in their communities. I'm from Sagmuck and Anishinaabe First Nation.
Okay.
um, my native name is Wapshkai Mamagwasque, which means white butterfly woman.
Ah,
And I was given that many years ago, that name, and hence why I love butterflies. They're all over my
yeah.
house. And um, so a lot of chiefs and councils and language teachers, just teachers in general, are recognizing, okay, we have all these members, all these family members that have been taken away,
Right.
and we have to accept them back, and we have to accept them and
Mm.
take them and teach them, the ways of whatever nation it is that they're from. And
Right.
so that's changing because I know a lot of people, they were trying to reconnect with their First Nation community and
Right.
would just get wouldn't they would just they weren't welcome. So that's changing now. So
Yeah, it's good
Thanks.
to see that. Yeah.
Definitely.
It's, you know, as I learn more about the First Nations people, because I do like to watch APTN to help me learn more. And there's so many wonderful, positive things that are that uh, I don't even know, like your healing ceremonies, like, oh wow, I went to one of those and has such an impact, you know? Because as far as I know, nobody in my culture, you know, with white people have anything like that. And then the fact that you call people who are like gay or straight, that two spirit, that just beautiful words, right?
Mhm.
Those are just
No,
such positive things.
it is a very welcoming culture, and when I go to the sweat lodge, it's so rejuvenating.
Right.
When I'm feeling, stress, just the stressors of life, I
Yeah.
go in there and I come out just almost, I wouldn't say reborn, but it's just, oh my God, I just have a new, different outlook and I just feel so great. And all that stuff has been taken and left in that sweat lodge.
Mm.
And I get this new, rejuvenation and revitalization to, to do good work, not only for my family, but for the ancestors and for the children who died at residential school and didn't have a chance. They didn't get a chance to make it, to do what they wanted to do. And for me, I always wanted to be a journalist, and for many reasons. But what I'd like to share with you is, one, it's like having a front seat to the world, right? First and
Mm.
foremost.
Right.
And I get to meet and learn. I get to meet new people all the time and uh, learn amazing things
Yeah.
and meet amazing people, such as yourself, right? And
I'm just thinking as you're saying that, I get to do the same thing in a different way, different format.
yeah, but where it started for me was, I was a little girl, and again, my mother, she was cooking dinner, and I was watching the news, and I believe it was Sandy Ronaldo on,
Okay.
who I love very much. She was reading the news, and I said, "Mommy, why isn't there anyone that looks like us on there with our skin color? Why?" And again, my mother didn't know what to say. And again, to make your mother pause, that's something,
Yeah.
that rarely happens, right? So she stopped cooking. She came out to the TV, into the living room. She said, "My girl, if that's what you want to do, all you have to do is go to school."
Ah,
Really? That's it? Okay. And but she made it sound so easy, but I was only about 9 or 10 at the time. I sure found out it wasn't as easy as she made it seem, but I did go to school, and I went to, I got my journalism, um, credit, my journalism diploma.
right.
And yeah, I didn't stop until I reached my goal. So yeah.
Cool. Do you decide on the stories that you're going to report, or is that done with a team? How does that work?
Well, for the most part, I pitch them stories,
Okay.
and 98% of the time they say yes. But there's a transition going on at the moment where, it's been a little slow right now,
Right.
but they'll pick back up. But for the most part, I pitch a story, and then I will and then we'll go from there. But
Right.
they do assign me stories, but it's mostly me pitching to them.
Okay. And then how do you decide what you're going to pitch to them? Like how do you get those stories to begin with, you know?
Well, a lot of it's through social media. A lot of it's through just, doing my research, going on these different websites
Oh,
of, there's, a ton of websites out there. Getting messages such as like the one I got from you and Messenger. People reach out because I have it on my social media. If you have a story, please, send me a private message.
right.
So, for example, I watched this amazing show a few months ago. Well, I think it was last year actually, but it's called Bear Grease. And I've been wanting to do a story on this group of amazing, talented people. They sing, they dance.
Wow.
Um, it's funny. I laughed so much I cried. Like I was crying with laughter. Like, when that, your belly is just
Yeah.
hurting because you're laughing so much. Eh, They're beautiful and they know how to sing. So it's called Bear Grease for one example. And so I'm
Yeah.
trying to, and they're on the road. They
Okay. Yeah.
across Canada and
Right.
into the States. So I'm that's one story that I really want to do because it's so fantastic and people need to know about this and just to see the talent that's out there, right? So
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
I want to showcase that talent. And a lot of people don't know that there are many First Nations doctors. I
Yeah.
interviewed a First Nations surgeon.
Mm.
Uh, she lives out in BC, by the way.
Okay.
Um, there are a lot of these stories that and people that people wouldn't think that First Nation or Inuit Métis people are doing.
Yeah, yeah, like just like there's lawyers and I just can't even think of anything. Yeah, exactly. They do all the same things that everybody else does, right? Just
Exactly.
just not
Exactly.
promoted the same way.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, there are stories too that I did one um, last year. It was about the opioid crisis on
Okay.
reserve, but it's not only on reserve. It's that there's small towns. I mean, there's people in it's just it's a crisis in many communities in Canada, period. But I focused on this one community, and it was really, really sad because the chief at the time, she had lost her son due to an overdose.
Okay.
And this young mother, she was, just a young in her early 40s, I would say. She had just lost her daughter, who was, just turned, I believe, 21.
Wow.
And it was just devastating. And I could feel her pain because it just happened a few
Yeah.
months prior, right? So it's not always, the good stories, but it's about time, that you know, the big networks, and I'm grateful and thankful to them that are changing their tune about, how they um, report on Indigenous people, right?
Abs-
And the representation is so important, right?
Yes, of
So
course.
for myself being on there, and my family members seeing me, and other young girls and ladies
Yeah.
and women, representation is so important. So my hats off to CTV for doing that, for allowing me this opportunity to tell these stories in this positive way, and and for them to put the resources in to doing this is really huge, and I'm very grateful that I'm one of the ones that get to do that, right?
Right.
So
Yeah,
it's
right.
a
Uh, uh,
great honor.
yeah, sorry. I was just wondering your stories, do you take, does it mean traveling sometimes, like outside of Toronto to go to other provinces or anything like that?
Well, yes, it does. The biggest place that I've gone is or the furthest I should say, is Rome, Italy. And I hadn't been to Rome yet.
Oh,
It was during when the Pope, when the anomalies in the ground were being found, and
yeah,
bones were being found in the grounds regarding kids, the First Nations children in residential school.
right?
Um, Pope Francis invited delegation of
Mm.
Indigenous
Right.
people from Canada. So I was honored to be a part of that group who went, and out of the journalism pool of journalists. And it was an amazing experience. One, just to be in Rome.
Yeah.
Two, to be at the Vatican, because I was one of I believe I was told I was the only working journalist who was invited into a private audience with the Pope at the Vatican.
Wow.
How I got in there was because a friend of mine, I call him like he's like an uncle to me.
Hmm.
His First Nation is close to mine, uh, going towards the Sioux Ste. Marie,
Right.
and he invited me, as me, because he knows my mom went to residential school. And so I was, maybe 20 feet away from the Pope. And when he came into that room, it was just, well, I just felt something. It was just
Oh,
history was made that day because he did apologize
yeah.
to the survivors, right? So it was quite the memorable out something I'll never forget. And if I wasn't, a, a journalist, then I don't think I would have gotten that opportunity. And to be at the Vatican, it was amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I know he's trying to change things, but whether he'll succeed or not, I don't know. But at least he's trying, which is always a good thing, right?
Yes.
You know.
Yes. Right.
Um, yeah, I was going to ask something else, and of course, it's just gone out of my head, you know. Unfortunately, now you're a mom, right? Yeah.
Yes.
How many children do you have?
I have two.
So do you think they're going to go into journalism or anything like what you've done?
Well, I have a 30-year-old and I have an 8-year-old.
Okay. Oh,
So maybe the 8-year-old, well, I'm trying, she's saying a doctor right now. So my fingers are crossed on
okay.
that. But who knows?
Yeah.
Our business right now is kind of, we don't know where it's going to go. So
Mm,
I hope it's still here in its capacity that it is now, where you go out and get the story, and and you meet the people, and you kind of get some kind, just being there, and getting experience whatever that is, the story is,
yeah.
um like being in Rome at the Vatican, right? So
Right.
I hope it's still like that in that capacity, but we'll see. But if they do, I would love that, but I want my 8-year-old to be a doctor. Quite honestly.
One final question before we run out of time. Like when you first started being a reporter and anchor, all that, but has social media, because of social media, has it changed a lot for you?
Well, I have to use the COVID example with that. Before, as I said, you go out and you meet the people. I'm with my camera person, and we set up, and we get we're at on location, right?
Yeah.
So you really couldn't be during COVID. So it was a lot of Zoom. It was a lot of you know, doing things over Zoom, like we're doing now.
Yeah.
And then I would ask people for still photos. I would ask people to,
Okay.
here's don't do it this way, do it this way, taking
Yeah.
video for me, things like that. So yeah, that's how that went.
Right. So now for people who want to check out your stories, all they need to do really is Google your name, right?
Yeah,
And
Donna Sound CTV.
yeah,
Yeah,
makes it nice and simple. So I'm hoping people will do that. So
I
anyway,
hope so too.
yeah, so we're just about out of time. Just stay on camera for a second, please. To the audience, yes, you've been listening to Donna Sound. See, she's with the CTV National News in Toronto, and as she said, just Google Donna Sound CTV, and her stories will come up. And it's always good to check out. And if you're a non-Indigenous person, I really not suggest, I don't know what, but I would recommend like listening to the positive stories that she's putting out there about in the Indigenous people. It's all about learning other people's cultures. It's only a win-win for all of us. So, and anyway, it's enough of my lecture.
And representation, right?
Yes,
Learning and
absolutely.
representation, right?
Absolutely.
Very
So, and
important.
that's all I don't want to preach, but can't help it a little bit. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for watching this show. I hope you continue to do so. Take care, everyone, and peace out.